some midrashic sources. Of the 15 separate commentaries that Rashi provides to the selection of pasukim from Shmot Perek Aleph, in not one instance does Rashi include the author or the source. The three references to sources here, one from Sotah and two from Shmot Rabbah, have been included by the printer as an aid to one studying the Rashi. One cannot maintain that this is never done, for in fact, for the first of the two commentaries to the words Vatikach Miriam Hanaviyah, Rashi refers us to Gemara Sotah as the makor, the source, and possibly the content of Miriam's prophecy. There is a caveat to the rule, and that is that he will provide the author or the source when required to do so. In light of the fact that, as a general rule, Rashi does not quote the sources or the authors, leads us to conclude that when he does do so, it is done to add information, not explicit, within the commentary. However, in light of the fact that we also have a rule that Rashi does not add unnecessary information, we must conclude, therefore, that this information is such that an understanding of the Pshuta Shel Mikra does not mandate its inclusion, as is the case when Rashi adds a second option and introduces that option with the words V'Rabbateinu Darashu. What we are therefore left with is, on the one hand, it adds information, but that information is not required to respond to a Pshuta Shel Mikra textual anomaly. To understand the purpose of the inclusion of these references, we will need to digress temporarily to the issue of who exactly is Rashi's target audience. And for this, we will look at the final Mishnah of Avot Perek 5. The Mishnah makes a set of broad generalizations regarding the lifespan of the average person. Stage 1 is the Ben Chamesh Shanim. We have a Ben Esa Shanim, Ben Shlosh Esrei, Ben Chamesh Esrei, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years of age, and if the person has the zchut to live to the ripe old age of 100, that person generally is ki'ilu met, it is as if the person has died, ubatel min ha'olam. The first four stages relate to the child's growth in both Torah and mitzvot observance. Stage 1 is a Ben Chamesh Shanim, and at that point in time, the child generally begins the Torah study, with the prime focus on Mikra, the study of Chumash. 5 years later, that child is ready for the study of Mishnah, and at Ben Chamesh Esrei, 15 years of age, Ligmara. In a broad sense, the difference between stage 1, Mikra, and the other two is that at stage 1, the ability of abstract thinking is limited, and therefore concentration is placed upon what is seen and defined, namely the Pshuta Shel Mikra. 5 years later, or thereabouts, the child can move into the abstractions of the study of Mishnah and Gemara. Time and time again, Rashi emphasizes throughout his commentary to the Chumash that his focus is the Pshuta Shel Mikra. In other words, theoretically at least, all the information that he includes in his commentary comes from within the text under study. His target audience would also include a Ben Chamesh LeMikra, who has not yet been exposed to the abstractions of Mishnah and Gemara. But as with any good curriculum material, there needs to be an allowance for those who have already moved beyond the Pshuta Shel Mikra, and at a certain time, where applicable, Rashi will insert into his commentary a reference, a hint, that a particular issue with respect to the text could use further exploration. This Rashi does with a statement such as K'de'ita b'sotah. If the purpose of such a statement was merely to indicate the source, then Rashi should have indicated the sources for all the midrashic material that he incorporates into his commentary. Clearly this is not the case, and therefore argues the Rebbe that the inclusion of a statement such as this will point to an issue that by extension is connected to the commentary, but by the same token is one that is not required to respond to a particular textual anomaly from the standpoint of the Pshuta Shel Mikra. Question 4 sets out to investigate what added information has Rashi embedded into his commentary to the words Vatikach Miriam Hanaviyah with the words K'de'ita b'sotah.